This podcast is brought to you by Podspot Events.
Do you want to know how to get Will Smith naked? All you have to do is take him to the Aquabumps gallery in Bondi. Aquabumps was founded in 1999 by beach photographer Eugene Tan. Huge has been taking pictures of Bondi and other beaches around the world daily for 25 years. What started off as a hobby and a bit of fun has now led to Huge being one of the most well-known photographers in Australia. In this episode, we talk about how Aquabumps started in those early days, some of Huge's crazy travel stories, and we also talk about the time Will Smith came to visit the gallery in Bondi. This episode is sponsored by Remoti and Cameron's Tallow Balm, but I'll tell you a bit more about the both of them later. I hope you enjoy this episode, and as always, remember to give us a follow on Instagram, at the Bondi Podcast, to stay up to date with all of our guests and episodes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll find all of our episodes on Spotify. Cheers! Huge, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks for having me.
First question we ask all of our guests, what is your favourite thing about Bondi?
Well, it's all about the beach, and I'm a beach guy. So I love the beach and people here. Everyone thinks that Bondi is this impersonal, sceney, very fashionable, fit place, but it's actually got a really great, tight community, good little village. And it's a great place to live. It's very exciting.
You've been here a while, Huge. Has it always been like that, or has it changed a bit?
I've seen a lot of change recently. It seems to accelerating. I was here when it was a bit scummy. The street we're on right now, Lamrock, I never used to walk down this street because it was too dangerous.
Really?
So when you used to walk down the hill, you wanted to go to the beach road, you wouldn't go left here because it'd be dark, but there'd be couches littered all the way down the street and a lot of people drinking, and you'd just get heckled. And, it'd be a 20-something getting heckled down here. These two streets were dangerous.
You couldn't even walk down them?
Well, I didn't enjoy it. You're pretty much guaranteed you're going to have problems. So we used to go around.
Shit.
And it was all dark and there weren't so many lights and, they called it Scum Valley for a reason. It was pretty scungy. I remember when the Astra was a pub.
Yeah.
The building just up from us. And, you used to see some pretty heavy stuff up there. But, yeah, right now it's going through a big change. Things are expensive. It seems to be, it never had a nightlife. And we do now.
I would argue
a little bit.
Yeah, it's not great.
But we had nothing. We had the beach road or the Bondi Hotel. And the Bondi Hotel was it was a bad, could have been a bad night if you end up there. Because it was the one with the long license that goes to as long as you want. But the beach road was pretty much it. There was no Revises. The Royal up the road was a bit rough. It still is, but it's a bit rough around the edges. But now you have restaurants. I'm not just saying bars. I'm saying we couldn't even go out to dinner. The beach road had chicken schnitzel, and there was an Indian restaurant right near my gallery now, and that was pretty much it for a very long time. No supermarkets, no nothing. And that wasn't that long ago. That's like 20 years ago.
Shit.
But, probably longer. 90s.
Wow. So what brought you here, Huge, in the first place?
Okay, so I was a graphic designer. I actually grew up and was born in Perth. And Perth was always a very small town. It's very rural, So I went to an all-boys school with a whole lot of farmer kids, which I loved. And we would get away and enjoy WA. WA is an amazing state, but it's quiet. And I just knew I had a lot more in me. But that aside, I joined a company. I was a graphic designer, and this is very, very early on in the, not even .com, we're talking digital design phase where you didn't you did design layouts on a computer, not cutting bits up and putting it on a grid board and stuff like that. That's how archaic we're talking. But And they were 5 employees. They grew to a big business. They sold it to Deloitte. They went Australia-wide, and I came and headed up the creative in Sydney. They said, you want to go to Sydney and start a team? And I was like, yeah. And we grew a team of about 30 designers. And I was a corporate boy for corporate designer, just did meetings all day. I was pretty unhappy. But I learnt a lot. So I'm very grateful for the experience. And that's what, that will lead into how Aquabumps started, because I was a bit bored at that company and I used to just do meetings and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, look at all these resources. I had a room full of developers. I had, I was on the cutting edge of .com and, the internet sort of blossomed. And that's how it all formed. But I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, mate.
In a bit more depth.
Obviously, living in Perth, but then asked to go over to Sydney to work. What was it? You could have lived anywhere in Sydney, right? What was it about Bondi that sort of drew you in?
So...
You painted a lovely picture of Bondi. I'm sure there was some nice aspects of it.
Well, the thing is, I didn't know Bondi or Sydney very well when I was a kid. We didn't get over here that much. We went overseas a lot more. And when they said, I remember, never forget it. It was a Christmas party. My boss just swings me and goes, "You're moving to Sydney, 2 weeks, pack your bags." And it wasn't much discussion about it. And I was like, okay, I know there's good surf in Sydney because you used to see the Narrabeen Classic and all this sort of stuff. And I'm a mad ocean person, obviously, back then. And I was like, cool, I'll just do it. And it was time. I was living at home, I was 21, 22, and I was like, yeah, I'll come on over. And I never forget rocking up at Hugo's Bondi Beach, the iconic restaurant on Campbell Parade, having lunch, suitcase next to me, fresh off a taxi and I was like, this place is heaven, like thousands of young people, waves. It just happened the day I got here. The waves were cranking everywhere, and I just couldn't believe this place existed. And yeah, it was a bit grimy but I could just see it was such a fun place. And it was just interesting that even just to people watch, you get a table out the front of Hugo's out the front here, and there's just thousands of people coming past, and it's just interesting to watch. And, I'm obviously a pretty curious person, being a photographer, but that really struck a chord with me straight away, and I went, this is where I'm meant to be. And Perth, as great a town as it is, and beautiful childhood I had, I knew I was going to leave. It felt small, and so I left, and off I went, and then started a career over here.
So you've been in Bondi ever since?
Yeah, it's like 28 years.
Incredible.
It's it's so beautiful for a beach, so close to the city, and you can have that life where you can. Before Aquabumps, I started Aquabumps, I used to surf before work, do a really full-on day, 10 hours, 12 hours, and then surf after work, and that blew my mind. I was like, where in the world can you do that? Just so you know, in Perth you can't. Right. There's too much distance. They don't do daylight saving. Like here they were really forward-thinking, like, yeah, you can surf till 9 o'clock. And then you could still go out for dinner at 9 o'clock. We go to the beach road. And then if, I don't know, like, needed something like a tin of paint, you go to 24-hour Kmart in Bondi Junction. And I remember thinking all these things were really important to me. I was like, that is just unreal. Like, I've got everything.
Simple pleasures in life, mate, isn't it?
It is. I like convenience, which is, and that's one thing about Bondi. We live right in the heart, and, I can get anything, any food, any bowl, anything I need really quickly, and I love that.
5-minute walk from your front door.
Seconds.
Just a quick word from me, guys. We're making some progress, Bondi podcast listeners. We're up to 450 followers on Spotify and 150 subscribers on YouTube. I would love to get both of those numbers closer to 500 across both platforms. So I've got a quick favour to ask. If you haven't, could you please quickly pause this episode, go and hit the subscribe and follow buttons on both platforms. It really helps with the show and ensures we can keep bringing quality guests and episodes to you guys. Cheers. Look, you mentioned that you were here today to sort of tell the story of Aquabumps. You first picked up a camera and started taking pictures when you were 9 years old.
About 9.
What do you remember about those early days taking pictures?
So I was a pretty curious kid. I remember it was a garage sale. I got one of those little, I don't think it's not 35mm, it's small, it's like 12mm. And film days, so I used to just take a lot of pictures it was like a little Kodak, tiny little thing. But then as, then 9, and I kept on doing it, thinking nothing of it. Then at school, I hope my boys don't listen to this, but I've got 2 little kids and I'm trying to keep them very focused at school, but I wasn't your models student.
Yeah.
I went to a conservative Catholic school. They were like, you do physics, chem, blah, blah. And man, I was having a hard time and no one was listening to me. So I found the dark room. They had a dark room and media. And media back then was when, you guys are all into this stuff.
He is, I'm not.
Well, you are. You're a podcaster, right? So back then, no one did it. No one, this is the 80s. No one was into media. The media room was empty. The dark room was empty. And our school had this amazing dark room under a staircase in the admin building, and I'll never forget it. And it was like a trapdoor, and no one ever touched it. And when I went in there was fridges of Ilford paper, and I was just like, I'm going to teach myself photography. And then I did do a bit of media, some media classes, got access to the lab, but then I'd hide in there a lot, like during school. So, but Jet and Spike,
Stay in school,
Stay
boys.
in school, boys. Don't follow Dad.
Go to your classes.
And that's where my passion for photography really, started. I would do portraits in the schoolyard, black and white. I'll never forget 50mm. It was a Pentax Asahi, really 50mm. Still today, I was still shooting 50mm, you know what I mean? It's just the best lens for me. And I'd walk around the yard and the boys would be doing, pylons, scrapping, fighting, fruit fights. I'd shoot the portraits and then maybe when the bell went, I'd disappear for a bit, develop some photos. And people knew I was in the school somewhere, but they didn't go.
And did they kind of just leave you to? I'm sure the teachers must have cottoned on and people, did they kind of just leave you to your own devices?
For a bit. There was a strict school. But then I started a darkroom at home. Then I mimicked what was at school under the staircase at home in Mum's laundry, right? And I don't know if you've ever done the old style of photography where you have 3 trays and you dip it in the 3. The chemicals are quite bad and smelly, and you get them on clothes. They're like Mum's laundry. They put brown stains on everything. But I knew I can't focus on anything. I reckon someone would class me as, AD, triple Ds, whatever everything's being stamped right now. But I knew when I got to what I like doing, I was very focused.
Wow.
I was a machine when I was focused, and when I didn't like doing physics and chem, you just couldn't pay me money to do it.
Fascinating, mate. So you, between the age of 9 and the year 1999, when Aquabumps sort of officially started, how big a role did photography play in your life over that period?
It wasn't, a focus. I knew, even though I was amazed by it all and I loved doing it, and then I got distracted by a lot of things. I finished school and I knew I liked to draw and I was artistic, so I went to graphic design school. But I know I was on the cusp of when they shifted from manual graphic design, like doing layouts, cutting things out and drawing everything, to using a computer. And they put me in front of one of those little those little Macintoshes. I can't even remember, they're this big and with a disk drive. And I'll never forget that moment. They put me in front and said, "We reckon you'll be good at using one of these to do graphics, right?" And this is at in WA, and I was like, and it was a moment like when I met photography, I was like, then the focus started happening, and that's all I could think about was doing graphics on this little computer at design school, and I got really distracted in that. And then Photoshop came out, Photoshop 1. I'm a Photoshop 1 user, right? People freak out. And I'll never forget the teacher standing up going, here's Photoshop. I'm like, oh my God, you know, this is like game changer, and became obsessed with that. And my design course had some photographic studios. I used to do a lot of studio work. I used to do a lot of nudes. I just thought, you know, when I was a teenager, like, you have so many friends, and you ask them, you post nude, and
they were up for it.
They were all up.
Guys
for
and
it.
girls, or
Yeah, I had guys, girls, girlfriends. You know, everyone was into having their picture taken
from the front to the back.
Oh, you know,
the side.
It was tight. If I showed them to you, I should have brought them. Right? They were very tasteful, black and whites, because I know it's like Helmut Newton, kind of very not that good, but I was learning, you know, that I liked to do that. But anyway, I followed my design career, and the design career always kept the photography. There was an element in design. There's always an element of photography. You always use photography, and then I was like, I got a design job, and I was actually an airbrush artist for surfboards, and I graduated in '91. Now I don't know. You guys probably might not know. '91 in Australia was a tough time. It was Paul Keating's recession. It was like no money, no jobs, you know. So I finished uni in a period of like it was in the early 90s. Can't even remember the exact 90, but no jobs. But I managed to wrangle, you know, bits and pieces, painting surfboards, and then I worked for the Navy. Would you believe it? A submarine corps, which was weird, but very high paid. And but here's the thing: it was on a submarine base on an island in Perth, next to Rottnest, that had waves that no one could surf. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean no one could surf them?
It's a naval base. No one can even get on this island. Yeah. And I remember my first, it's actually my first job. They said, would you know, the lecturer came and goes, we've got some positions in the Navy doing some simulation graphics for the submarine learning. And I was like, I don't even know what that is, but sure. And two of us went down every day. And then at lunchtime, I wandered over the back of the base, and it was beach after beach after empty beach with waves. So I used to keep all my boards in the bushes and just go in speedos because no one there. Surf at lunchtime. And
you had these amazing beaches to yourself.
And it's a side story, but like crayfish, get crayfish at lunch, put them in the work fridge. So that was my introduction to full-time work. And then I joined a design company called Eclipse, and there was 5 people sitting in a room doing graphic design on the cusp of learning how to do online and digital design. We did CD-ROMs, you know, no internet yet, but we did CD-ROMs, made menus. Oh, it was crazy times. And then online came. Another moment, like, wow, like this thing, designing for the internet. I still do it today. I just was working on our site literally minutes before I came here. But probably in that design job, I'm bored, you know, remember I was creative director, there's a whole bunch of people I was looking after, and I was the meeting guy. You bring me in, I do the talking, I'd sell the design, but someone else does the design, and then we move to the next meeting and I do the talking. And that is very unfulfilling for a guy like me, because I'm okay talking, but you do that all day and it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
So my outlet was to create this thing where I just went down the beach, took some photos.
So that started in '99 then?
It was 99. We reckon it was March. It's when the Eclipse bought a proper digital camera. And that reinvigorated my passion for photography. So I remember I was a darkroom guy with chemicals. Then you put this thing in front of me. It's a digital camera. And I was blown away. And at the same time, email became widespread. So in the day when you probably only get about 3, I was faxing when I started my career, right? So then I'll never forget going, no more faxing, emailing. And I was like, wow. And you can attach things, you know? And I was like, this is good. And then they put a digital camera out. I'm like, yeah, you need that digital camera. You need a long lens. You need, they buy like 30 Rand worth of gear. Took the gear straight home. Lived on the beach at Bondi, right on the front row. I'd just go straight down and use the camera gear. And then I realised, hey, you can attach it to emails. And I'd send it to people overseas. I had friends all over the world. This is where this is a beautiful place. Look where I am. And attach the photographs. And that's how that kind of started, you know, like that ritual of waking up every day and taking photographs.
And we still doing the blogs back then?
Well, there were no blogs. So this is not blog. We didn't even know what blog was. But there's no social media. All there was the internet with brochureware sites for companies, and it was boring. There's nothing fun on the internet back then. But I worked in a corporate job starting to design these websites. Like we did Holden.com and ClaytonUtes.com. These they were big sites, multi-million-dollar sites. And I was like, why don't I just take a picture a day down the beach and post it? Well, first of all, just email it. And then there was no website. The website used to be a field saying, put your email here and I'll add you to the list. That was all it was. And then it evolved over time where you can see the archives. And then another pivotal moment was when someone said, I want to buy your shots. Why don't you sell them? And I was like, oh, nobody wants to buy them. You don't want them. And they said, no, I'd love a frame shot. You know, that sunrise is special to me. Maybe it was a kid's birthday. I can't even remember the first one we sold. And then I added a buy button. You know, it was like groundbreaking.
So how did that feel that first time someone actually came to you and said, hey, I actually want to buy one of these photos off you?
I'll give anything a go. And, you know, well, it's flattering. Yeah, it was flattering, but I didn't think anything of it. I thought I'd just have a little side hustle in my corporate job. Used all their developers to build one of the first e-com engines of its kind, you know, with a daily email, and that was all built at Eclipse, which is now called Deloitte, Deloitte Digital.
And was there any like imposter syndrome at the time, or you know, you're just out there taking these pictures for a hobby and a bit of fun, and then all of a sudden there's a potential sale involved?
Well, so do you mean like how did I feel about?
Yeah, were you like, oh, like,
did someone copy me, or is it
no, like imposter syndrome, kind of like who am I to be selling pictures to someone? I'm not this fancy photographer. I just do this for a little bit of fun on the side.
No, I mean,
or were you just like, yeah, you want to
pretty cheap? Yeah, I was like, sure, you know, I'll make it happen. And then I used to have them under my desk at work, like 6 prints, and get some frames done. It all starts pretty organically and from demand. And you know, it's amazing life. You know, it has these little doors everywhere, and you don't know where you're going to end up. Well, I didn't anticipate a business out of Aquabumps. It was just pure passion. I knew I liked getting up, taking photos. I liked the community. I'm a surfer. I liked photography. I had access to all these digital people that were on the cutting edge. You know, we developed a mailing engine to send formatted emails for Clayton Utes. They paid millions of dollars for it, and I did the interface for it. And I remember thinking, I could punch out my daily photos on this thing. You know, I could suck in a HTML formatted email and punch it into people's email account inboxes. And I mean, that was like, whoa, no one's doing that every day. And it's Monday to Friday, always Monday to Friday. I used to do it, get into work really early. But yeah, so I'm dribbling on a bit.
No, it's all good, mate. No, it's great stuff. Huge.
A lot's happened, so I don't know where to stop sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to get it all in 1 hour, mate. Are you trying to grow your business or brand, but often find there aren't enough hours in the week? Have you considered hiring a virtual assistant to help with all those tasks that you don't want to do that could easily be delegated? I'm talking about admin, accounting, digital marketing, social media, and much, much more. Well, our show sponsors Remote provide businesses, entrepreneurs, and social media influencers with the top virtual assistant talent in the Philippines. If you're curious but still sitting on the fence, why not use the referral code Bondi to trial a virtual assistant for 2 weeks for absolutely free. That's 2 weeks, absolutely free. All you have to do is go to the website www.remote.com.au/contact, enter your details, enter the referral code Bondi, and someone from Remote will be in touch. I've added the link to the Remote website in the Instagram bio, and there's also a link in the show notes. And if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, please get in touch with us over Instagram. Cheers. Huge, where did the name come from?
So we did the audience used to be not used to be, still are. They were very involved. And I remember I put a poll up. What do you want to call this thing? Because everyone keeps on asking me, I want to be involved in your thing. And I was like, I better give it a name. And this is when Razorfish and YouTube, not YouTube actually, all these websites were coming out and they were like, Green Tomato, you had to make up something because all the .coms, I didn't explain that very well. Everyone went out and bought all the .coms. .com boom and, realestate.com, everything like that. And then I remember, then we started, you have to make up make up words basically. And then you had to make up words that were easy to spell. And I was always, my way of writing is, I don't know if it's childish, but it's kind of like, there's a few aqua chunks in the bay today and, just make stuff up. And it doesn't have to be, everything's so formal in the world. I just wanted to be whatever, typos, everything. And one day I just caught away with Aquabumps. And then I was like, it's only easier to write. And I could get all the trademarks and all the .coms. And there you go. So it means a bump in the ocean, a wave. It's kind of catchy, right? It's easy to spell.
Yeah. Were there any other contenders for the name?
Huge waves, someone proposed. And I was like, as in huge waves, I was like, because obviously everyone's called me Huge since I was a little boy. Because Eugene's was a nerdy name when Grease came out and spoiled it. Yeah, it destroyed my name. What else was there? Oh, God. I remember Aquabumps was well and truly in front in the poll. But people were really into it.
Yeah. Huge waves would have been good.
Yeah. But they were the Wild West days of .com. It was just like, it was crazy. You could grow. I mean, I know you get all these big accounts now, but back then, if I grew 1,000 in a day, that would be like, I'd tell my friends and go, I got 1,000 new subs today. And they'd be like, no way. And I'd be like, way.
From all around the globe at this point, Huge, or just like kind of Australia based?
Well, first of all, it started with friends that I used to just tease and send them stuff and their friends. And then all those friends got really good jobs. It actually, and then you could see it when I'd hit, like, for example, Macquarie Bank. One of my best friends there, and then the guy next to him started getting it. And, it's the old cliche, viral, right? It's just, you could just see it. Macquarie Bank to this day is probably our biggest group of subscribers. There's thousands of them because they're all in New York. Australians in New York going, I wouldn't mind a bit of Bondi.
Yeah, exactly.
Expats, we are huge with expats. Yeah. They love it. But I get it. If you go and spend time overseas for a long time, you miss this lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's one of the weird things about living here, but then going overseas on holiday is you might go overseas and have this like amazing holiday, but you're always really excited to get back to Bondi.
Isn't that a good thing? When that plane tilts and you look down the harbour and you see Bondi, you go, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
But so many people, this city is so livable. Temperature, everything for me, surf, it's just such a good city. I'm like and I am a friend of Australia, an ambassador, for the tourism, but I do it. I spruik it naturally because I just think it's the best place on earth.
Yeah, it's great, mate. So, Huge, back to the story.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, all good, mate. 2004, you quit your job to do Aquabumps full time and opened that first studio. How did you come to that decision to take that first big step, I suppose?
I was like 3 months off 10 years at Eclipse.
Oh, you've got like long service.
And it was running rough big for me. Deloitte had bought it. They were very corporate. No, they did amazing things for it, and it's grown to be a big business. But it just didn't feel like me anymore. They were sending me a lot of brochures on how to dress to work and stuff. It was like, oh, that's interesting. And then, anyway, I knew I had more, and there was a point where there was a leap. I just go, this Aquabumps thing was on the boil. Everyone talking to me about Aquabumps. And I'm like, then people asking me for advertising, and I'm like, I don't know anything about that and how to structure it. And I did a few pretty wild deals, but, it was all like, I never, like the first camera and water housing, they were all through advertising, can you mention this and we'll buy you that? And I'd be like, okay, it was a hobby. And then it was starting to go, it's getting bigger and there's momentum and I don't know how to make money out of it. But maybe if I quit my job and freelance design, something will happen. And I truly believe this. When you leave, like the universe just cracks open and goes, okay, we're going to send you some things now. And another mate knocks on my door and goes like, hey, I've got a retail space in North Bondi. His name's Martin Simic. He now lives on the site, actually. He was amalgamating all the sites. And he goes, rent it off me. I reckon it was the size of this room. It was so small. $450 a week, which was like a stupid amount of money for me. And he goes, I know you started selling some of that stuff online, and I know, why don't you get a base and why don't you start selling it in this? And I don't know if you've been to Brighton Boulevard. It was 98 Brighton Boulevard. There was no foot traffic, right? The only people you saw was the same 100 people going to work and same 100 people going back to the bus stop. But I loved it. It was awesome. It was awesome. That was where and people loved this part of the story, and I didn't tell it for years. But so I took the space. It was a dump, like everything in Bondi is. It needed everything. I had no money. I didn't walk away with a payout from my business that I'd been there for 9.5 hours. Bit silly. But anyway, I was down to like, we painted it. I was doing speakers. I contraed the floor with beer. At that time, people were starting to keep flowy stuff. And I remember having a lot of Coopers, and I found a floor guy walking past on his way, and I was like, I'll get in your floor, and we did a deal. Anyway, I was pretty much broke after 2 months of this, or trying to get this gallery thing. I was trying to develop the products. I didn't know what I was doing. It was wild. I just applied for a credit card machine. When that thing arrived, I was the happiest man. I was like, I can take money, right? I can swipe this thing. And I was so pumped on that. And then we opened. I had a big opening. And I knew if I just put a call out on my I don't even know how many subs I had then. Maybe 11,000, or I don't know, maybe a bit more. And then I knew we had this party to launch this gallery at 98 Brighton Boulevard, and a lot of people came. And we sold $16,000 worth of artwork that night, right? With my new credit card machine. I was just swiping away. My friends would come in and go, I'll take those 2, I'll take those 3. And I was like, oh my God. And I'll never forget that night. I was like, 16 grand was like incredible amount of money in the 90s. Well, in the 2004 it was. So, and then I knew that was like another light bulb moment going. Everyone told me this wouldn't work, that having a studio to sell your own photography is a dumb idea. I'm not a retailer. What do I know? You're a graphic designer, with a photography twist, But there's another message. Everyone tells you can't do anything, Everyone said that when I wanted to do a book, everyone said, why do you want to do a book? It's vanity for you. No one's going to buy them. You know, we won awards for the first Bondi book we did. I'm now about to release my 4th book in 8 weeks, you know, and they've been great successes. So you don't listen.
So there's a lesson in there, huge, like
The naysayers.
Yeah.
When people say nay, I generally, well, I'm not a good listener anyway, but I mean, one of my best friends who's one of my mentors to this day, he said, that Aquabumps thing, it ain't going to work, mate.
Is he still saying that?
And I've said it many times and he hates that. But he just didn't realise that once I got a hold of something that I really liked, it was like I'm unstoppable.
Yeah. Are you like a little bit spiritual, huge, in that, you know, universe opens doors?
Yeah,
and,
maybe
you
I'm sounding like that, but I'm not really.
No.
All my mates would say you're a very simple man. Ocean, camera, wife,
chicken
family.
schnitzel. Yeah,
chicken schnitzel. Pretty simple. Look, you know, my dad's a Buddhist. And I don't know, like, you know, I do believe lightly in like karma and be good to people and good things happen to you. We're very, you know, we're generous at Aquabumps. We give a lot of time to people and a lot of like notice boards, and people find partners and flatmates, and, you know, we don't make money off any of that. But I do feel like the good karma kind of comes around in a full circle. So it's spiritual a little bit.
Nice, man.
I don't put too much thinking to it.
No. And you, so when was it, like at that moment where you took 16 grand in that first night, is that like the first moment you noticed it start to take off, or were there like other moments?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of milestones. So yeah, we started taking money, and I go, I've got something that they want, and no one's doing it. No one's taking pictures of Bondi 100%. And doing it in an arty way, doing a daily email, then coming up with a product. You know, I did merchandise. I just did everything. I worked like this was hard yards though. When I started that first shop, you know, people don't believe it, but I'd be up at sunrise, 5:30, 5. But you know, I would work until 10, and maybe a snitty at the beach road. You know, between 6 and 7 with some mates. But I would do that a lot. You know, every day. And I was known for my, you know, being a bit of a maniac. I mean, you've got to be a fanatic to do this stuff, right? Because the rewards don't come for ages. So, and I just kept on punching away at it. So what was your question again? I just lost myself.
I was going to say, it was...
milestones.
Yeah. Like,
Another
when
one.
did you notice it start to take off, I suppose?
When online orders started coming
Just
through?
in general, the whole thing, the whole Aquabumps thing, like...
Well,
was there a moment where you just thought, this is...
Well, that was one of them, when
Yeah.
I knew I had a product that they wanted. Another one was when my wife walked in the door. She was a customer. You probably
Tell that story, huge.
Well, I mean, so Deb, she's very vivacious and has a very good presence, and she's a beautiful woman. And, you know, I'm like this guy working a million hours but having a good time. And she walks in and offers me half price on Tubular Storm, one of my old Indonesian prints. And we got talking, and, you know, there was a good synergy. There's a good connection there. And then she became my wife, you know, fast forward. So that was a pretty pivotal moment. I can't even remember the year.
Did you sell her the print half price, or did she talk?
No, I didn't. Half price was just ridiculous. But she is a negotiator, and people always admire Aquabumps' deals, and it's Deb. She does deals. She comes from a long school of advertising. She was a suit. She was a Harper's Bazaar sales director. She's seen a lot of luxury, and I guess that's what elevated Aquabumps is my wife. And she brought a lot of that, her bag of tricks.
Would it be as big today, huge, without Deb in the...
Well, in terms of big in money, or in terms of readership, we always had strong readership growth, but she kind of formalized a lot of stuff that I had no time for. You know, we did deals with we've done deals with everyone. You know, Audi cars, was an Audi ambassador, a Canon ambassador, Dropbox ambassador. You know, Google phones. I've been on their TV commercials for Google, and all this stuff takes a layer of. It's really complicated stuff, and we're right in the middle of another big one this week. I can't say, but like it's complicated when you're dealing with really big companies and you're like 2 to 3 people sitting in a studio in Bondi. So I appreciate that expertise. Debbie, she thinks I don't.
I'll bet.
Yeah,
good on
She
Deb.
always gives me you don't appreciate what I do. I go, I do, but sometimes I'm just quietly doing my own stuff and you do your stuff.
Well, hopefully she listens to the podcast, Hugh.
I know. Well,
she hears those kind words.
Maybe. She's not much of a podcast person.
Nah. Hugh, I'm going to ask the question you probably get asked every day. Do you have a favourite photo?
Yeah, that's very tricky because it changes all the time. And I try and put my favourite photo on the front window of the shop. At the moment, it's Past Lines, Byron Bay. I love Byron. I think that it's so hard. I've got, like, if you said, what's your favourite aerial shot? I'd probably say Lone Swimmer. That's my most iconic shot first time that I went on a helicopter, and my wife bought me that helicopter because I was too tight to fork out thousands of dollars to go fly on a chopper for an hour. There you go. Thanks, Debbie. If you said, what's your favourite Italian shot? I'd say, Fontalina and Capri. Now I see that shot. They're everywhere, that Capri stuff. Bondi, I've got a shot of Curly Bits. It's old, but I shot a tube, looking out of a tube, and I've got the pavilion. You can see the pavilion in it. It took me ages to line that up. I remember thinking that was an accomplishment. I set out with an idea, shoot it, and I got it, and we sold it for years. Would I put it on my wall? Probably not. But 20 plus years ago I shot that. It was like, oh, that's cool. You shoot in the water. The water thing was a big, another big thing. People just couldn't believe you could see pictures from the water in their inbox every day. That was like cutting edge.
Yeah, it's kind of those shots that you do use that are like half out the water, half in the water that are
I love
kind
that.
of iconic, mate.
I love that. I went mad on that. And then underwater people, underwater nudes. I did that for, God, I went crazy with my water housing when I was unleashed underwater. It was just like, there were so many ideas. It's so weird now that everyone's really familiar with, photography, and it's just, we're drowning in content, right? And you just see so much. But it's hard to think back, pre-social media, pre-blogging, there was a time when it was so unique doing this thing, this morning ritual, people were just like blown away. That was an idea. And it was just a hobby.
You mentioned that Lone Swimmer's probably like your most popular print. What do you think it is about that particular photo that has made it so popular?
Escapism. People look at it, just think they're on holidays or they're going for a swim. It just takes them right back to that moment. And it's amazing when you get a shot that connects with people, what it does to people. And I just can see them walk in the door and they go straight to it. We still have it. I think it's in the shop right now. Yeah, it is again. We don't always have it up, but it's up at the moment. But it's escapism. That's why you come to Aquabumps. You want to dream. You want to dream of being on the beach and you're not there. And that's what the daily email is. It's escapism. I'm giving you a 2-minute holiday in your busy day. Because once upon a time, people didn't work from home in Bondi and they went to an office 7 kilometres from here. Yeah, I know. Everybody works from home. It's like an incredible change for me. Because we were like, if you worked, you went at 7 o'clock and you came home at 7 o'clock. And now everyone works from home. It's just incredible.
It's much better.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're at the gym all the time working out.
I'm working on the podcast as well, mate. I'm doing my 9 to 5. Our newest sponsor, Cameron's Tallow, is changing the natural skincare game. Do you suffer from eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, or acne scarring? Well, Cameron's Tallow Balm could be exactly what you need.
Made from Australia's best grass-fed and grass-finished beef tallow, Cameron's Tallow Balm is great for skin nourishment and is perfect for dry and sensitive skin. If you're curious, you can check the guys out on Instagram at Cameron's Tallow and drop them a DM if you have any questions, or go to the website cameronstallow.com to find out more. I'll put all the details in the comment section below. Cheers!
You mentioned Capri as well, and I think you did some aerial shots in Capri. Is there a story about a helicopter?
Yeah, people can't believe this story. I'll give you there's a lot to this story, but anyway, I'll give you the really condensed. I always used to book twin motor turbine helicopters in Europe. Helicopters are dangerous. I like two motors. One breaks, one goes off, then you've still got one going. I mean, it's dangerous, helicopters, especially if you're hanging out the side with a tether. Anyway, I rock up. I've been talking to this guy for 3 months, and he's like, yeah, come to my house. I'm like, I don't want to come to his house, come to his house. He's got the helicopter in his front yard in Sorrento. And I was like, shit, he's going to take off in a residential area. No problem. I go, it's a single motor. We agreed on twin. He goes, nah, twin busy today. So what I learnt was all the billionaires have got to fly twins for insurance policies. Trying to get a twin is like really hard. Anyway, single, I'm going somewhere with this. We did a 2-hour shoot. It cost me more than my first car, a brand new car. By the time we got around to Capri, we were pretty high. I can't even remember, it's like 1,500, maybe 2,000 feet. We were right above Fontalina, which is the pinnacle of classy beach clubs in Capri. And I was pushing him hard for a maneuver. I was like, back. And he's always arguing with me, this guy. He barely spoke English. And it's not easy, right? And we're reversing. Anyway, a gust of wind blew the flame out in the turbine. And we had a compressor stall, right? So, and to perfectly honest, I didn't know all this. So all I know is, and the chopper was behaving really badly. And I was like, what, what's going on the mic? What's going on? And I brought Deb, right? Deb was in the front seat. I was in the back seat. We brought Louis, this guy who had a knife, because they tied me to the chopper with household rope. We didn't have a tether harness. His job was to cut me loose if we went in the drink, right? I kid you not. This is how we formulated this. And he had a knife, and chopper stalled, and it felt like a long time, but it must have been pretty quick. It started to reboot. So they start auto-rotating, and then it rebooted, flame came back, and he got it back, and he recovered. Luckily, we were very high, right?
Did you fall a bit?
Yeah, but you don't feel it like
right.
Like a cartoon, but we were falling. The motor was off. But anyway, my mate's got the line, and we would have gone in water. At 2,000 feet, it would have been a bad crash. Anyway, we land back in his house, which is crazy. It's so Italian. And he goes into his shed and just brings out grappa, like shots, and we all just sit there, have shots on like a 35, 40 degree day. And we just go, what just happened, Anyway, Deb doesn't really come in choppers anymore unless we're using them for like a transport, like to go to an island or something like that. Quite a few islands in Australia you got to get to by chopper.
Shit, did he at least give you a discount for the... No.
It is so expensive in Europe. And I can't even imagine what it'll cost now.
Jesus.
Because it'd be double. And, Capri, it's a luxury island.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of those crazy things, it's crazy stories everywhere. Big surf and, there's only about 3 times that I reckon I've come close. And Hawaii's drowning. Yeah, Capri, I reckon Hawaii twice nearly drowned, and then Capri chopper. Yeah. One time we did an aeroplane to get Esperance with he looked like a pimply teenager. And we did night flying, and he was fresh out of school, the area, and I remember thinking, there's no way this guy's going to get there. but we got there.
Where were you flying to?
Denmark to Esperance, chasing weather. I had a brief, had to get shots at Esperance. There was a weather window of an afternoon, sunlight, otherwise 7 days of rain. And I was 6 hours drive away, so I went to the local airstrip. I got a pilot, I said, I need to get to Esperance, like, pronto. And out comes the young fella. And it was a big flight. You cut across the Australian Bight. You go over ocean. So single motor, again, which I hate. And so if you ditch, you go on ski. You know, and we were cutting time.
And did you nearly ditch?
No. He actually flew it all right, but I was petrified. It was dead silent. Dead silent flight.
Unbelievable, mate. Like, there's another thing I want to touch on. Huge. Will Smith came to the studio. How did that even come about?
Will Smith, he's too many stories? I don't know. I got a story about everything. So I get a phone call in the gallery. No, I don't. One of the guys at the front goes, there's a lady on the phone. She's going to bring a Hollywood star. I'm like, well, everybody thinks they're a Hollywood star. We used to get it quite a lot where people think they're a big deal and they want to do private shopping. And I mean, sure. But it was our staff Christmas party, I think it was that night. They wanted me to be there really early, like 6:30 the next morning. And I was like, I'm not interested. You know, everyone thinks they're pretty famous. And I kept fobbing it off. She kept on going, no, no, she's adamant. She speaks to you and she's got someone big. And I got on the phone, you know, like, oh, what's going on? Like, it's not very convenient. And she said, all right, it's Will Smith. And I was like, okay, I'll be there. I was so hungover.
Were you?
Yeah, it was our staff party.
Oh, the night before?
Yeah. That's
Oh,
why, one of the reasons why I didn't want to get up early.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday staff party. And he is full on, right? So I thought, look, he'll come for 5 minutes. An hour. It was, you know, he's at me. He rocked in with a whole, like, there would have been 4 cameramen. And he goes, I hope you don't mind YouTube. I've started on YouTube this week, so I've got some people filming. And I was bewildered. I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, and do you know what he said to me? He goes, we talked for an hour. He's a really easy guy to talk to. And he goes, hey, man, I got an idea. Why don't you come to Lizard Island with me? I got a private jet. And I said, you know, I've got like a babies and wife and stuff, so I probably need to bounce it off her. And Deb walked in. He goes, here she is now. Can you guys come on Lizard Island? Lizard Island's a non-child island. And
I've never even heard of Lizard Island. Like,
it's beautiful.
where is it?
Great Barrier Reef.
Shit.
I did all the marketing.
And did you go with him? Did you just go?
So, yeah, as it came out, right? So then we were like, and then he left and all the entourage and the 4 cars full of people and security detail. And I texted, you know, so we texted the concierge and saying, was he real about that? And I go, well, we'll ask. And he said, yeah, we're real. You know, what would it look like? How much it would cost? Like, you know, you come do some shooting maybe. And then his American agent got wind of it and was like, who's this guy? Aquabumps? He's not coming anywhere near Will Smith, you know, with cameras. They were very protective. So the US agent canned it.
Really?
Yeah.
So
but we had problems. We had kids and little kids. That's so Bondi, people revving their motorbikes while you're doing a podcast thing.
Yeah, exactly, mate. It just adds to the authenticity.
Yeah, I know. We really are in Bondi.
So,
but he's a great guy. I really liked him. Hyperactive.
But I saw some of the like must have been his YouTube footage when he was in there.
He posted on it.
Yeah. But he said when he was in your studio, it made him want to get naked.
Yeah, I didn't get that. He kept saying that to me. I want to get naked. I know, and he put it in the YouTube thing, and my kids to this day go, what did he mean? Why? Anyway, it's pretty funny.
Maybe it's a good thing you didn't go to Lizard Island.
You know what? It's a weird world, that world.
Yeah.
I don't think it's cut out for me, but it was exciting to be asked.
I'll bet. So does Will have some prints?
He got a whole of stuff. It's weird how they shop. So there's some person comes out of the van and just grabs stuff, And the concierge goes, could you just count it up and invoice me and I'll pay for it? So it's not a normal transaction. And by the time he left, there would have been, 100, and this is 7 a.m. on Saturday, like 100 and something people out the front, all saw through the glass. That guy is so famous. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, and I think he he liked that I didn't know anything about his family or anything. He's got lots of stuff going because I'm not really a guy who reads Who Mag or anything. And I was asking, you got any kids? Yeah, I got a daughter. And then Deb goes, daughter's like really famous. Son,
Oh, amazing.
A silly Bondi guy with a camera, what did I know?
Yeah. And have you heard from him since, or was it just that one interaction? And
it was just that one interaction. But we've had lots of really amazing people in the gallery, lots of Hollywood people. I've had Hugh Jackman. I wish I filmed it. He came in and he just, I fucking love Aquabumps. Right? Shit. He just screamed that out at the front door one day on a trading day, and I happened to be on the floor, and I was like, that's the best. He's got a big... Yeah.
Shit. Does he... Because he sometimes hangs about.
He's got an apartment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
So did you know him? Did you know him before he came in that day, or
not really? And actually, I find the link through all these things. I think Will came through his trainer came to me, was in his entourage, and he's a Bondi guy, die hard. Same with Hugh Jackman.
The trainer is a Bondi guy.
Yeah, the trainers are always Aussie trainers. To all these people that come to the gallery, they're good. Look after your trainer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, wow. Any other big names? Hugh Jackman, Will Smith?
Yeah, some of them like the Murdoch family, or and we've had a few big tech moguls come in, and it's always an interesting interaction. It's like, oh, how are we going to ship it? And they're like, it's okay. You don't have to worry about any of that. Someone will contact you and take it to the plane. I'm like, good way to fly. Good way to fly with big artwork stuck in the middle of the aisle. I love it. But I mean, if you said to me at Aquinas College when I was stuck in my dark room, this is going to be a career and like this is going to happen.
Amazing, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't. Yeah. The customers are beautiful. It's not. You don't have to be famous. Like the people that come in, some of them are so awesome. Not some of them, most of them are really amazing people. People come in from Italy and going, I've just got off a flight. It is the first place we've been in Australia, because we subscribe, we just want to see, and I'm blown away. Yeah. And I don't care if they don't buy anything or anything. It's just like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the first place they come off.
Yeah, they're really into it.
That's amazing. You've done like some really cool things, and like the list is like longer than I can probably mention, but cool collabs with like Peroni, Havaiana, RM Williams, Speedos. Yeah. You've released your books. You've done the big print in the Icebergs pool.
Yeah, that was
like
cool. That was one of the first ones.
Yeah, when you look back at like your career or the Aquabumps journey to date, like what's like the coolest thing that stands out to you that you've done? That's pretty hard.
Once the Fin Review asked me to talk at a luxury summit at the Opera House to some really big crowd. There's thousands of people. I was one of many speaking. And I said, no, that doesn't sound like something I'd like to do. And Mariam Hume, I think she was the editor at the time, and she came into the gallery and she said, you said no, and let's go have a coffee. And I, oh my God, she was so charming and powerful woman, and she got me on that stage, which is like my biggest fear. Everyone's fear. No script, no nothing, headset, like Madonna on a stage with thousands of people. I look out, there's Packer, there's Assassinbide girls, like all these, and I was after the Zimmerman girls, like all these people that are much, that, I was nothing, I'm nothing, like, and they're huge. So.
What did you talk about?
Luxury and how my life's a luxury. she wanted me to talk about luxury's not always about possessions, that it's about, what I do is a luxury, like I travel a lot to beautiful destinations and have beautiful experiences and live a life of passion, doing what I like to do. So that's what she wanted. The editor was like, don't talk about, luxury, success, luxury. Talk about things that are fulfilling for you. And I was like, anyway, it was pretty cool. That was a good experience. I mean, other experiences would be, books are always amazing. Like this book we're doing, we have laboured over this thing for 1.5 years. Like we put a lot into it. And when you launch them, it's just incredible to see the joy they bring.
So this is book 4, Huge?
Book 4. This is celebrating 25 years. We're celebrating 25 years.
And is it just Bondi or is it like...
It's all over the
global?
world. Yeah, but a lot of Bondi. Obviously, I shoot here the most. Like we've travel-wise, I pinch myself. We do some incredible shoots to some absolutely stunning places. This year, the Aman resorts have been like, they're just the best resorts in the world. And we've just done some amazing travel. It's mind-blowing how there's a whole world of, this stuff that I could never afford, but we go and shoot it and for their marketing purposes. But yeah, what else has been pretty amazing? I mean, opening that gallery on Hall Street, I've always wanted to be on Hall Street. That's the spot there. And to get a shop that big there, I know it's only 150 squares. Did you ever go to my old one?
Yeah, I was in the one in Curtis, yeah.
Yeah, with the garden. I mean, I loved it, but it was just in the wrong spot. This is in the right spot. And yeah, that was a big moment too. That put, that's kind of like, developed Aquabumps. I knew what I wanted out of the shop. It's got a library and, it's cool. It's got like a nice kind of Apple-y vibe.
Yeah, it's nice, mate.
I like, because you look around here, they're all pretty, like run down and not into it. So, I like to do it.
Yeah, it is throwing off some Apple vibes, actually. Yeah, quite like it. Yeah, nice. Look, Huge, last question from me, and thank you for giving up an hour of your time to come in for a chat this evening. Where do you find the inspiration to still get up every morning to do what you do after 25 years and get out there and shoot Bondi?
It's a very good question, Chris. So it's in me now, right? So you can't do something for 25 years, a routine, and it not just be completely embedded in you. And I'm just this, fanatical guy who likes to take pictures. And if I don't go to the beach in the morning, I kind of get a bit weird, like I'm missing something in my life. Also, Bondi is amazing. It's like this canvas that's got all these interesting people. I love talking to everyone in the morning. The social and humanity part of Aquabumps is, people don't realise how incredible and engaging and all the people. I mean, if I said to you, you just go to South Bondi, people are going to start talking to you and they're really interesting and it's a great thing, it's such a positive environment. So it's in my DNA, it's my ritual, I love doing it, it kind of sets me up for my day, so it's for me as well. And I love taking photos, so that always gets me back there because I go, I can do better. Instagram makes me foam out a bit too much sometimes. Oh my God, that's good stuff. Like I got to get better. Tomorrow's the day. Also FOMO, missing out like at an event. The day I sleep in is the day a whale comes in the bay, the sky's red, something really dramatic happens. So much stuff happens on that 900 meters of beach. It blows my mind to this day. But, conditions are different. It's just like the opportunity of seeing something different. And I love it. It's my kids are surfing over here. My wife's going for a cold swim in the middle. It's our family. It's how we live. It's everything, and hopes that comes through in the shots, you know what I mean? A lot of passion.
It does, mate, definitely.
25 years.
25 years?
Yeah.
How good?
I'll send you a book when we get it.
Oh, mate, I need to I'll get a coffee table and then we'll stick the book on it.
Yeah, you do need some stuff in here.
Mate, we just moved in. Give me a break.
There's a lot. I go, okay, medium-sized shadow box there. You know, we can do a nice artwork there.
Yeah. We just moved in, so we're doing it kind of bit at the time, but. Yeah, look, Eugene, thank you very much for coming for a chat.
Thank
mate.
you. Yeah, it's unusual doing podcasts talking about yourself for an hour. I don't know. It's not really. I don't like doing it that much.
Yeah, well, we thought we'd get you in front of the camera for a change.
Yeah.
See how you go. Thank you very much, mate. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.